Hello, everyone. Welcome to Module 4. This week, we'll be looking at intercultural negotiation, and I'm going to highlight just a couple of important points to discuss assessment instruments that can be used if sending people overseas. And kind of the question today to think about is, how do you identify as a leader, a global leader, the right person or people to send for a specific job overseas or internationally if you need them to negotiate for your company, if you're thinking about something like this and you have a decision to make in decision-making processes as a leader. So this is really application-based today, thinking about how would you send the right person to negotiate a deal. So first, one critically important thing to remember when staffing a negotiations team is that negotiation is the communication process by which people with common interests resolve disagreements about those interests. So although some countries such as Finland and South Africa expect technical experts on negotiation teams because they value technical knowledge, facts and figures, you also have to keep in mind, unless you have people who are really good at communication, the negotiation won't be successful. So when we say communication, we of course mean intercultural communication or global leadership communication. Negotiation is not a culture-free interaction. Successful negotiators need to know about both their own and the other cultures. They need to want to succeed, and they need to be using appropriate skills. They should have a high level of cultural intelligence, or CQ. And Dr. Sophia Sa, who taught this class as an in-person class, used to share that in seat, when talking about negotiations and intercultural teams for negotiations, asking how would you select people to negotiate interculturally. She had a student that raised his hand and said, it should be somebody who doesn't embarrass us. And so the takeaway there might be, if your best technical expert is a jerk, or even if they're a nice person with no CQ or cultural intelligence, they might not be a good fit for a negotiation assignment, because that student who was sitting in seat really was onto something. These reminders are kind of essential premises that as a leader, you need to keep in mind when you think about who to put on a negotiation team, that really you need somebody who's got the technical, and so the hard and soft skills, the technical and the communication, the cultural knowledge, so the hard and soft skills all together. There's also personality aspects, and we have a video with a few examples of this.
You're wasting my time here, pal. Stop your crying, Johnson, and get the deal done.
Negotiating is a delicate business.
What are you, a negotiator or something?
Maybe, maybe not.
That's negotiating talk. You should work for me.
Or maybe it would be more profitable if you worked for me.
More negotiating. Business.
Money.
Success.
Handshakes.
Ha!
So just like in the video, but luckily you might, as a global leader, have somebody would be a perfect negotiator for your team. But really thinking about making well-informed decisions is the key. Looking at personality, communication styles, technical expertise, cultural knowledge, your choice is going to really be informed by the culture, the country, being country specific. For example, here in the US, a person who is energetic, optimistic, confident, somebody who smiles a lot, has open, friendly gestures, generally behaves as if he or she were your good friend, would be considered highly charismatic and is a positive trait for somebody to be perceived as authentic and genuine. However, as you would understand from watching some of the movies, doing the readings, listening to our lectures, this is not universal. And other countries may not perceive this the same way and would value other qualities. So in Australia, for example, overconfidence might be interpreted as bragging, might provoke very negative emotions. And Australians don't really like to give the impression that they're better than others. And so for negotiations with people from Asian cultures, you've probably surmised that we would want somebody more reserved, less emotional, capable of showing humility. So best advice here is, even if you're not going to take part in negotiations as the leader, you want to do your research on that culture, find a good match, get a good team together that can work well together, go through your existing team members and really seek to find the best match for that international negotiation job based on all those attributes that are going to fit that criteria. You may remember in the first movie we watched, Outsourced, how the big boss in Seattle was really trying to convince Todd that going to India was going to be the right move for him. And he was saying things like, you like spicy food. And now I'm pretty confident that just after taking this class, you'll be better informed than his boss in terms of understanding that making a decision would not be successful based on liking spicy food. So there's some assessment tools that can kind of help you make a successful decision about who to put on your negotiation team that exceed the criteria of liking or not liking spicy food. So let's look at what some of these tools can give you as a leader in terms of criteria for selection. These can help you determine intercultural competence of a person, a group, or a group of people. They can help you choose the most competent employee. They can help an employee decide whether or not to accept an assignment, and more broadly can help you identify needs and build a successful multicultural team as a leader. One such tool is the cross-cultural adaptability inventory, and you can use it to assess an employee's potential for cross-cultural effectiveness. It's also helpful if you want to facilitate the transition into new and different surroundings, and you can use it for assisting individuals' self-reflection, for international business assignments, and developing readiness for travel or study abroad, and improving the effectiveness of intercultural virtual teams, which is really important here in the post-COVID environment. One more tool is the international assignment profile. And when we select people for international assignments, we rarely think we need to look at their family as well, but whether they all can cope with the stress of international travel, staying in a different culture. But this tool is a really good resource to evaluate an employee and their family for preparedness for an international assignment. And as the website states, the number one cause of assignment compromises, early returns, and assignment failures is family adaptation problems and family adaptation problems. So I suggest you kind of take note of these two websites and save this information somewhere so you can maybe utilize it in your cultural ethnography storytelling if you want to incorporate it into anything that you're doing when you're doing cultural comparisons between your cultures, and you really want to, because I think this might be incredibly helpful for you.